What's up, self-healers? Lisa Lightfeather here. Welcome to my channel, Closing the Gap, where we make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. Today, I wanted to come on and speak about the topic of the ego death of the empath and how it's so important on the empath's journey. So the narcissist comes into the empath's life, right? And they abuse the empath in some way, form, or fashion. Why doesn't the narcissist doesn't abuse everybody that they come into contact with? Why don't they abuse every single person that they come into contact with? For one, because they need to keep their mask, they need to keep their cover, they need to have somebody say, oh, that's a nice guy or that's a nice girl, right? But for the other, the narcissist understands that everybody's not their assignment. Everybody is not the narcissist assignment, right? They've been assigned to particular empaths. They don't narcissistically abuse every empath that comes across their mind, that comes across their path, or every person that comes across their path, because they have a particular assignment. And so when they come to you, you are their current assignment. The reason the empaths keep seeing the narcissist over and over and over again is because the empath is not only healing themselves, they're healing generations and generations and generations of wounded healers, wounded empaths. This spirit has been going through the bloodline. This demon has been running through the bloodline for decades. Your great-grandmother, your great-great-great-grandmother, and your current grandmother or grandfather has either been the narcissist or they've suffered at the hands of it. And so here you are, and it's your turn. And the narcissist is excited to see if this empath from this generation is going to break the curses. Or are they just going to be another victim? The narcissist empath contract is a very interesting one, because the narcissist comes into the empath's life to mirror them. Now you might say, hear me out before you click off. You might say, how are they mirroring me? I'm nothing like them. And on the surface, this is true. You're nothing like them. But they mirror aspects of yourself, of the empath's self, that the empath has denied. And they're mirroring that. They're mirroring the fact that the empath does not have the capacity to set boundaries. And so they cross your boundaries over and over and over and over again. They're mirroring the fact that the unhealed empath doesn't have the capacity to say no. And so they put stuff on you, put stuff on you, put stuff on you. And they know that you don't really want to do it, but they know you don't have the capacity to say no. I have an example of that. I was out with my girlfriends eating lunch. And one of the narcissists within my family called me and said, could you go run these errands for me? I need you to do this, this, that, and the other, and the other, and the other. No, first they said, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm having lunch with my girlfriend. And they said, oh, you're not doing anything. And commenced to running off this whole list of stuff that I should be doing. And I said, well, I'm doing something to me. This means something to me. One thing that the empath does not have the capacity to do is to realize that if you're laying down, taking a nap, sipping on some tea and reading a book, that you're doing something. The unhealed empath could be having a cup of tea, reading a book, getting ready to take a nap. They're enjoying their time. And the narcissist could call them and they'll put their book down, set their tea on the counter to get cold, get dressed, and go out of their house to go rescue, to go do whatever the narcissist has said the narcissist needs to have done. Because they feel like that taking a nap, reading a book, and having a cup of tea is doing nothing. So if the unhealed empath is not healing someone or fixing someone or trying to rescue someone, they feel like that they're doing everything else is considered nothing. Well, I'm here to tell you that laying in your pajamas, reading a book, sipping on tea is something to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. So the narcissist comes to mirror the empath. And what they're mirroring is the empath's shadow. Now, I'm not saying that the empath is the totality. The shadow of the empath is the totality of the narcissist. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the shadow of the empath, the narcissist mirrors aspects of the empath that the empath has repressed. The narcissist, the empath overly embraces the aspects the society embraces: kindness, goodness, you know, being there, never saying no. But what the empath is repressing is putting themselves first. They feel guilty if they put themselves first. Permission to love oneself, to take yourself out and show yourself love. They feel guilty if they spoil themselves or if they spend too much money on themselves. The unhealed empath will feel guilty about that. The unhealed empath feels guilty about setting boundaries, about saying no. No, I can't do that right now. I'm reading a book and sipping my tea, and I'm actually laying up in my drawers and under my air conditioner and enjoying myself. I can't come get you to take you to the store. I'm sorry, you'll have to find somebody else. They have an issue with that. They have an issue with acknowledging that their time and their energy is valuable. And so they overextend themselves. They keep giving and giving and giving until their cup is empty. And then when they're thirsty, they look in the cup and there's nothing there because they've given and given and given. What the empath doesn't get is that one should not give until their cup is overflowing. And then they can give the overflow. The rest of it is theirs. But it takes the empath a really long time to get that. So the narcissist comes along to invoke you. They are a dark teacher. They come along to mirror your darkness, the part of you that you haven't accepted. And they provoke you and provoke you and provoke you until that darkness is awakened. And when that darkness is awakened, the empath doesn't recognize themselves. Let me tell you a little something about shadow work. You have not tapped into your shadow until you look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself. You have not tapped into your shadow until you look in the mirror and you say, "Who are you?" You have not tapped into your shadow until for a period of time you are terrified of yourself. Terrified of what you might do. That's real shadow work. I laugh, but it's no laughing matter. When the empath taps into the shadow, they're not only tapping into their shadow, they're tapping into generations and generations and generations and generations and generations before them shadow. This is one hell of a shadow, honey. And it requires someone with a lot of heart. Now, that is the empath. Now, when you reflect the shadow back, when the narcissist gets their shadow reflected back to them, they just take notes. Okay, I'm doing a great job. They study the empath to get better. They mimic the empath to get better. But when although the narcissist mirrors the empath, you don't know how to say no. You don't know how to set boundaries. I'm here to teach you that. Ha 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 ha. Invoke, 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 invoke until the empath explodes. And when the empath explodes, it is one heck of an explosion because remember, they have repressed shadows from generations before them. And in this lifetime, their own. And they've signed up to be the one to break that curse. It's a powerful position to be in. The thing is this, is that when the empath gets to that point and they look in that mirror and they don't recognize themselves because their darkness has come to the surface and it's laying on the surface of their skin and they don't know what to do with it. The empath is in a dangerous situation right here, but they're going to be okay because you're going to feel like you don't know yourself. You're going to be afraid of yourself. You're not going to know what's happening. You know, the spirit knows that the old empath has died, has unalived. It's an ego death. Because although these things that the empath does is accepted by society, the rescuer, the savior, the helper, all that's accepted by society. It is the ego of the empath that feels that they have to be that. Oh no, it's my kind heart. It's just who I am. I'm just a good person. I'm here to tell you that you're not a good person. It is the ego of the empath that feels the need to heal everybody, to rescue everybody. I can fix them. I can save them. It's the magnet that draws the narcissist to you. The narcissist feels your energy. Oh, this is my assignment, the narcissist says. And the empath says, yes, let me come rescue you. Let me save you. Let me heal you. And the empath says, my pleasure. And again, the empath goes through the turmoil of the narcissistic abuse, disguised as love bombing, devaluation, discard, hoovering in, mentally, physically, spiritually, sexually, emotionally, abuse. And the narcissist is happy to oblige. And the empath tries again. Let me heal you. Let me heal you. Let me heal you. Until finally the empath gets so angry that the shadow of anger comes to the surface. And the empath doesn't recognize themselves. Anger is your friend, but you have to make it your friend. Anger can be your enemy. But the beautiful thing about the empath is this. The narcissist cannot destroy the empath by bringing up their darkness. Because the empath, in healing themselves, they get so angry that they start taking that energy that they've been giving everybody else and they put it back on themselves. They start healing themselves and they transmute because darkness cannot destroy an empath. An empath is an alchemist. The narcissist that has the assignment to tap into that anger, that's a bad mother joker. Let me tell you something. That's a seasoned empath. That's one of them that's a seasoned narcissist. That's one of them super narcs. The one that taps into the darkness of the empath. Because what happens when they tap into your darkness is that once you get a hold of that darkness, once you integrate it, it requires a lot of shadow work. The shadow work of feeding your demons. Turning the demon of anger into your ally. Now your anger is no longer repressed. Your anger is no longer your enemy, because when your anger is your enemy, you don't have the capacity to say no. They might get mad at me if I say no. But when you bring that anger to the surface and you integrate it, you make it your friend. Now when you say no, your no means no. And you don't care if they get angry about it. You set boundaries for yourself. You learn to love yourself without guilt. You learn to enjoy your energy and realize that your time and your energy matters. You learn to only give the overflow from your cup. There may be a point of grieving the old you, because once that anger comes to the surface, you will never be the same again. You keep integrating it. You keep doing your shadow. You keep embracing it. Keep reminding yourself that you have a right to be angry, because you're not just angry for yourself. You're angry for the generations before you. The narcissist does not abuse everyone. The narcissist only abuses their assignment. The empath and the narcissist have a contract, whether that be your mother, your sister, your child, your boyfriend, your uncle, the boss at work, whoever it is, you have a contract. And when the empath starts looking at it from this perspective, they are no longer a victim. They are a victor. And this is when the empath becomes the true healer. Boundaries, the capacity to get angry, the capacity to be selfish. No, this is mine. I'm not giving it to anybody else. I will give you my overflow. But this cup right here is mine. And nobody gets it. That's when the empath becomes powerful. The narcissist is a dark teacher. And when they leave your life, it's because they have finished their part. They have done their job. And every time one comes into your life, they elevate you. You become more and more and more of the healer that you have come back to be. And let me tell you something about that healer. They not only heal light, they heal dark. When the empath becomes the dark teacher, let me tell you something about that level of healing work that they have the capacity to do. You haven't seen a healer until you've seen an empath that has integrated their light and their dark. Honey, they're unstoppable. That's when the empath becomes the true healer. But they must first embrace and love their dark. And the narcissist has come to bring that out of you. Stop looking at them as the enemy and just simply look at them as part of your journey. Right? Enough of the empath being a victim. Enough of the empath not seeing what's happening. This is occult knowledge. Occult simply means that which is unknown, that which is hidden. And it's been hidden from the empath for far too long. It's time for the empath to awaken. Yep. You are not a victim. You're a victor. And once you embrace all the parts of you repressed, you become a powerful healer. Well, that's all I have for you here today on Closing the Gap, where we make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. We'll see you next time here on Closing the Gap. Y'all have a good day and happy hump day. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you later.